Months since a judge dismissed the case against two Brookhaven men who allegedly shot at a black FedEx driver. The reason? Evidence that both sides claimed they never got from a detective. The detective claims he was a scapegoat. Now, for the first time, the man who prosecuted that case responds to those allegations. Investigative reporter CJ Lemaster joins us with exclusive details. CJ?
Courtney Ann, we told you about former Detective Vincent Fernando last month when he sat down in his first broadcast interview. Now we're exploring his claims that involve what he says is pure politics, involving the defense attorneys, the judge, and the former DA who fought for this case in court. Do you feel like you were intentionally targeted?
It's hard for me to answer that directly, saying that they intentionally did it. There could be the motive to be doing that, because that's the only person they can blame it on.
Former Brookhaven Police Detective Vincent Fernando maintains he did everything by the book, starting with his investigation of a shooting that could have killed FedEx driver DeMonterio Gibson. In January 2022, Gibson dropped off a package at a house in Brookhaven. At that point, the driver of a pickup truck tried to cut him off, so he swerved and went around him. Gibson said a second man pointed a gun at the van and tried to get him to stop. When Gibson drove away, the man fired shots at the van. Those men were Gregory Case and his son Brandon. Fernando felt confident they had ample evidence to convict the two.
They prepared me for the trial, and we went through everything with my file and their file, and they never ever asked me to missing anything they have.
In July of 2023, more than a year after Fernando said he turned over everything in his possession to the district attorney's office, that district attorney, D. Bates, says he held an evidentiary hearing to make sure they had everything. They even put Fernando on the stand.
He was actually, I hate to use the word interrogated, but questioned in front of Judge Strong before the trial ever began in August. Because that's where you see in the transcript, I was concerned that we may be missing stuff.
The next month, the trial for Brandon and Gregory Case. The two men were charged with attempted first-degree murder, conspiracy, and shooting into a vehicle. During the second day of trial, the unthinkable happened while one of the defense attorneys was questioning Fernando.
Dan Kitchens was asking him questions, asking him about a video, and he opens his file up and lo and behold pulls out another. And then if you watch that video, you can see Dan look over at me in shock, and I'm just going, I can't believe on national TV that this is happening.
That day in court, when he pulled disc 10 out, was that the first time that you had seen that?
That was the first time I've seen that disc, yes. He came with his file, we had our file that he had, because it was brought back to us by Kitchens and Stubbs. And we had it, and comparing it, we did not have that disc.
What is your account of when that disc was created, where it was stored, and when it was first given to prosecutors?
I gave them everything with the file I gave them before the grand jury, so I know they had it.
Disc 10 was an interview with Gibson that would have only helped the state's case.
Was there any exculpatory evidence on there? No, it wasn't. But again, the state has responsibility to produce everything.
Bates maintains the disc was not in the file they were given, but Fernando's interview with us revealed something Bates did during the case other attorneys have called unusual. The DA didn't make a copy of Fernando's case file to give to the defense. He just handed the original over. So you wouldn't give a copy, you would give the actual file?
We would give the actual file.
Other jurisdictions, other places in the state might look at that and say, why not just give a copy?
Why? Because we actually have the original copy still with law enforcement, and you can compare it to. And he brought his original, and that's where it came from, out of his file, on the stand. You know, why wasn't in there? You know, he's going to speculate that it was taken out by the defense attorneys, which is not true.
Is there any evidence that that could have happened? I mean, it would have resulted in discovery issues within your office if that was the case.
It would have. With that being said, when we had the hearing in July, they went through each one of the discs and asked, and specifically asked, are there any others in his file? And he said no.
Fernando told us an investigator in the DA's office told him the case file had been changed somehow when it came back from the defense attorneys, but he never said that under oath during the trial. The next day, the defense moved for a mistrial, and Judge David Strong granted it. You already knew what kind of case you had because you'd investigated it. To now hear these things in the courtroom, I just can't imagine what's going through your mind at that point.
Actually, my mind is say, why are you accusing me something is not really valuable to the defense. And you're just attacking me for no reason and made me like I'm not a good detective. And they made sure their defense, both defendant walk away. I believe district attorney did not pursue it, his part of the job.
Bates left office in December 2023. His successor, Brendan Adams, did not have to try the case again because Judge Strong dismissed the charges with prejudice in January of this year, meaning it can never be brought again.
People will see that and think, oh, there was a conspiracy, the fix was in, that kind of a thing. Whether it involved you or not, the judge and the defense attorneys were in on it or what have you. And he didn't come right out and say that in the interview with us, but he did believe that it was political in nature. What do you say to that?
I would say there was no fix while I was involved. There's no doubt about that. When I left office, the case was still pending, okay? With that being said, I am well aware of the people that are in office, and I would say they're friends of mine. And I would have a problem if there was a fix. I do not believe that there was. There is no doubt the person that has lost in this case is DeMontario Gibson. And there's no doubt in my mind, or I wouldn't have been trying this case, is that he is in fact a victim and was fired upon in the back. I mean, the evidence shows that. And yes, the criminal justice system failed him in that. And that's a responsibility of my office too.
Now, last year, during another hearing on the case, the court learned more evidence had not been turned over, some of it body camera footage. Detective Fernando said the IT department told him they didn't have it to produce. That discrepancy led to the case's dismissal. One more thing, we've reached out to Gibson to get his reaction to what the detective and former DA both said. He has not yet agreed to an interview, but when we talked to him shortly after the case was dismissed, he told us he felt Fernando was made a scapegoat.